Have you ever spent hours studying, only to get the same grades as your friend who barely studied? You miss out on weekend plans, ignore your group chats, and still, your grades stay the same? Meanwhile, that one friend just schemes through notes at the last minute and somehow aces the test? Sounds unfair, right? Well, what if I told you the way you've been studying is the problem, not you? Today, I'm going to teach you how to study so fast, it'll feel like life is on easy mode. These strategies are so powerful that even an average student can master them and still get top grades, without sacrificing weekends or burning out. Let's dive in. A few years ago, I had a friend named Jake. He wasn't a genius, nor was he a straight-A student. In fact, for most of high school, he was just average. He would study hard, but his grades never seemed to reflect the effort he put in. Then, something changed. One semester, Jake went from struggling with his studies to acing every test, and the craziest part? He barely studied. While the rest of us were buried in books, pulling all-nighters, and stressing over exams, Jake was out having fun, playing video games, and even getting full nights of sleep. At first, I thought he had found some kind of secret cheat code for school. So one day I asked him, "Dude, how are you doing this? Did you suddenly get smarter or what?" He laughed and said, "No, I just realized I was studying wrong. Most people think studying is about putting in more time, but it's actually about using the right techniques. The trick is to study smarter, not harder." I was skeptical. Wasn't studying just about reading textbooks, taking notes, and memorizing facts? But Jake sat me down and broke it down for me. Most students waste hours studying things they'll never be tested on. They focus on quantity, not quality. Instead of reading an entire chapter, I find out what's actually important. Instead of cramming, I use techniques that help my brain remember faster. Then, he showed me exactly how he did it. He used study hacks like the Pomodoro Technique to focus better, reverse learning to start with answers instead of wasting time on unnecessary content, and AI tools to generate practice questions in seconds. I decided to try his method for just 1 week. The result? My study time was cut in half, but my grades went up. I wasn't losing weekends to stress anymore. I had more time to relax, and I actually started enjoying learning. That's when I realized studying isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter. And today, I'm going to teach you exactly what Jake taught me, so you can finally make studying feel effortless. 1. Cut out sugary snacks. Your brain will thank you. Imagine this. It's late at night, and you're staring at your textbook, trying to absorb as much information as possible before tomorrow's test. Your energy is running low, and your brain feels sluggish. In desperation, you reach for a candy bar or an energy drink, hoping it will give you the boost you need to power through the night. It feels like a good idea, right? Wrong. While sugar might give you a temporary rush of energy, it's actually one of the worst things you can consume while studying. In fact, research from UCLA found that excess sugar slows down cognitive function, weakens memory retention, and reduces overall brain efficiency. That short burst of energy? It doesn't last. Within an hour, your blood sugar levels crash, leaving you tired, unfocused, and struggling to retain information. But let's break this down a little further. The science behind sugar and your brain. When you consume sugary snacks like soda, candy, or processed foods, your body experiences a rapid spike in blood sugar levels. This gives you a temporary sense of alertness because your brain is fueled by glucose. However, the problem is that this spike is short-lived. After a quick burst of energy, your insulin levels rise to regulate the sugar in your bloodstream, causing your energy levels to crash just as fast as they went up. This leads to brain fog. You struggle to focus and process new information. Fatigue. Your energy levels plummet, making studying even harder. Memory loss. High sugar intake weakens the connections between brain cells, making it difficult to retain what you just learned. A study published in the Journal of Neuroscience even found that a high-sugar diet can negatively impact the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for learning and memory. So if you're trying to cram for a big test while snacking on sugary treats, you're actually making it harder for yourself to remember what you're studying. The fix? Fuel your brain the smart way. Instead of reaching for sugary snacks that sabotage your focus, try brain-boosting alternatives that provide sustained energy and improve cognitive function. Nuts, walnuts, almonds, cashews, rich in omega-3 fatty acids and antioxidants, which protect brain cells and enhance memory. A study from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people who consume nuts regularly perform better in memory-related tasks. Berries, blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, these are packed with flavonoids, which help improve long-term memory and protect your brain from aging. Harvard researchers found that people who eat berries frequently have better cognitive function as they age. Dark chocolate, 70% plus cocoa. Unlike milk chocolate, dark chocolate contains flavonols, which improve blood flow to the brain and increase focus. It also triggers the release of dopamine, which helps you stay motivated while studying. Avocados. They contain healthy monounsaturated fats, which improve blood circulation to the brain and support critical thinking skills. Greek yogurt and bananas. A perfect combination of protein and slow-digesting carbohydrates, which keeps your energy levels stable throughout long study sessions. Green tea. If you need a caffeine boost, skip energy drinks and coffee, which cause crashes. Instead, drink green tea, which contains L-theanine, an amino acid that improves alertness and concentration, without the jittery side effects of coffee. What happens when you make the switch? By replacing sugar with brain-boosting foods, you'll experience longer attention span, no more zoning out after 30 minutes. Better memory recall, you'll retain information longer and faster. Stable energy levels, no more crashes, no more naps in the middle of studying. Stronger focus, you'll be able to study for longer periods without distractions. Take action today. If you've been guilty of snacking on candy and energy drinks while studying, now is the time to change that habit. Try this. For the next 5 study sessions, make a conscious effort to replace at least one sugary snack with a brain-boosting alternative from the list above. Then see how you feel. Do you notice better focus? Do you feel more energized? Are you able to remember more from your study sessions? Once you see the results for yourself, you'll never go back to sugar-filled snacks again. Your brain is a powerful machine, but only if you fuel it the right way. So next time you sit down to study, choose foods that actually help you succeed. 2. Positive thinking can boost your grades. Have you ever noticed that when you think something will be difficult, it somehow feels even harder? The way you think about studying actually affects your ability to learn. If you sit down and tell yourself, "This is going to take forever. Studying is so boring," guess what? Your brain believes you and makes it a reality. On the other hand, if you tell yourself, "This is going to be quick, easy, and productive," your brain listens to that too. It's not just wishful thinking, it's science. The power of positive thinking in learning. A Harvard study found that students who practiced positive self-talk before studying had significantly better focus, retention, and test performance compared to those who didn't. Why? Because when you think positively, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, chemicals that make you feel motivated, focused, and ready to learn. Conversely, negative thoughts trigger stress hormones like cortisol, which reduces your ability to concentrate and recall information. In other words, if you constantly tell yourself that studying is difficult, your brain will make sure it feels that way. How to train your brain for positive thinking. The good news? You can train your brain to think more positively about studying with a few simple techniques. Use positive affirmations. Before you start studying, say, "I will finish this chapter in 30 minutes. I can learn this easily. I enjoy learning new things." At first, it might feel weird, but the more you say it, the more your brain accepts it as reality. Studies show that positive affirmations help reprogram your subconscious mind, making studying feel less like a chore and more like an achievable goal. Reframe your thoughts. Instead of saying, "I have to study for this stupid test," say, "I get to learn something new that will help me in the future." Instead of, "I'll never understand this," say, "I just need to break it down into smaller steps." By changing the way you phrase things, your brain processes the task differently and sees studying as something manageable and rewarding, rather than something dreadful. Visualize success. Top athletes don't just train their bodies, they train their minds by visualizing winning. The same principle applies to studying. Try this. Before you start, close your eyes and imagine yourself sitting confidently in the exam room, remembering everything you studied with ease, finishing your test with time to spare and feeling proud. Your brain can't tell the difference between imagination and reality, so when you visualize success, you're programming yourself for better results. The 3-to-1 rule for overcoming negative thoughts. No one is 100% positive all the time. When a negative thought creeps in, "I'm bad at math," immediately counter it with 3 positive thoughts. "I have improved a lot since last year. I understand this concept better than before. I am capable of learning anything with the right strategies." This technique, backed by research from the University of Pennsylvania, helps rewire your brain to focus more on positive outcomes rather than dwelling on self-doubt. What happens when you change your mindset? When you start thinking positively about studying, you'll notice faster learning. Your brain absorbs information more easily. Less stress. You'll feel more in control and less overwhelmed. Better focus. You won't get distracted as easily. Higher motivation. Studying won't feel like a chore anymore. Improved test scores, because a calm, confident brain performs better. This isn't about blind optimism. It's about harnessing the power of your brain to work in your favor. Take action today. Step 1. Choose one positive affirmation from this list and say it before your next study session. Step 2. When a negative thought pops up, replace it with a positive one. Step 3. Spend 1 minute visualizing success before you start studying. Try this for just 1 week and see how much easier studying feels. Your mind is your most powerful tool, so use it wisely. 3. The timer trick. Study like a machine. Most people sit down to study and think, "Alright, time to study for hours." And that's where they go wrong. When you force yourself to study for long, uninterrupted hours, your brain gets tired, your focus weakens, and your efficiency drops dramatically. Instead of absorbing information effectively, you end up rereading the same lines, zoning out, or getting distracted by your phone. That's a recipe for burnout, frustration, and wasted time. But what if you could train your brain to work faster, smarter, and with laser-sharp focus, without feeling exhausted? That's where the timer trick comes in. How it works, the timer trick explained. The timer trick is inspired by the Pomodoro Technique, a scientifically backed method for maximizing focus while preventing mental fatigue. Here's how you do it. Set a timer for 30 minutes. This is your deep work session, where you focus 100% on studying. Study with total concentration, no distractions, no multitasking. Your only goal is to absorb as much information as possible. Take a 5-minute break, let your brain relax, reset, and recover. Repeat the cycle. After 4 cycles, take a longer break, 15 to 30 minutes. This method tricks your brain into working faster and more efficiently because it adds an element of urgency. Think about it. When you know you only have 30 minutes, you naturally become more focused and disciplined. You're less likely to procrastinate because you're working within a short, manageable time block rather than facing an overwhelming 3-hour study session. The science behind why it works. Neuroscience backs up this technique. Research has found that the brain can only focus intensely for about 25 to 50 minutes before cognitive performance starts to decline. Short bursts of study maximize mental energy. Regular breaks prevent burnout and increase retention. Time constraints create a sense of urgency, improving efficiency. In a study by the University of Illinois, researchers found that taking short breaks while working on a task improves long-term focus and recall. When you push your brain beyond its natural attention span, you're not actually working harder, you're just working less efficiently. By giving your brain structured work and rest periods, you keep your mental energy fresh and optimized throughout your entire study session. Bonus: the timer trick also fights procrastination. Ever find yourself putting off studying just because it feels like such a huge task? The timer trick eliminates that problem. Instead of thinking, "I have to study for 3 hours," you tell yourself, "I just need to focus for 30 minutes. That's way less intimidating. And once you start, it's much easier to keep going because you've already built momentum. Think about this. Have you ever procrastinated on something for hours, only to finally start and realize it wasn't that bad? This is called the Zeigarnik effect. Our brain hates unfinished tasks. Once you start, you naturally feel compelled to continue. The timer trick helps you break through that initial resistance and get the ball rolling. How to maximize your results with the timer trick. To make this method even more powerful, follow these extra productivity hacks. Use a digital timer or app. Try apps like Forest, Focus Booster, or Pomodoro to keep track of your study intervals. Eliminate distractions. Before starting, put your phone on airplane mode or use apps like Freedom or Cold Turkey to block distracting websites. Pair it with active recall. Instead of passively reading, use flashcards, summarization, and self-quizzing to actively engage your brain. Adjust the time based on your focus level. Some people work best with 25-minute sessions, while others prefer 50-minute blocks. Experiment to see what works for you. Reward yourself after each session. After every cycle, give yourself a small reward, a short walk, a piece of dark chocolate, or a few minutes of relaxation, to keep motivation high. What happens when you start using the timer trick? By implementing this technique, you'll experience increased focus, no more mindless scrolling or zoning out. Better retention, you'll absorb and recall information faster. Less mental fatigue, your brain stays sharp instead of getting exhausted. Higher productivity, you'll get more done in less time. A procrastination-free study routine, no more "I'll start later" excuses. Take action. Try it today. Step 1. Set a timer for 30 minutes and start studying. Step 2. Stay 100% focused until the timer rings. Step 3. Take a 5-minute break and relax. Step 4. Repeat the cycle at least 4 times and track your progress. Do this for just one study session and see how much faster and easier learning feels. Once you experience the difference, you'll never go back to long, draining study marathons again. Your brain was built to work in short, intense bursts, so take advantage of it. 4. Focus on key content, the 80-20 rule. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the sheer amount of information you need to study, you're not alone. Most students make the mistake of thinking they need to read every single word in their textbook, or take pages upon pages of notes, just to keep up. But here's the truth, not everything in your textbook is important. In fact, if you're spending equal time on every topic, you're actually studying inefficiently. The 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle, can help you break free from the study everything trap and focus only on what truly matters. The 80-20 rule, less studying, more results. The 80-20 rule states that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. Applied to studying, this means that a small percentage of the material in your textbook, lectures, or class notes is responsible for the majority of the test questions. 80% of exam questions come from just 20% of the topics. 80% of your understanding comes from mastering 20% of key concepts. 80% of students waste time on unnecessary details instead of high-impact content. If you can identify the crucial 20% of topics, you can spend less time studying while learning faster and scoring higher. How to apply the 80-20 rule to studying. Identify the high-impact topics. Instead of passively reading everything, be strategic about what you study. Ask yourself, what does the teacher emphasize repeatedly in lectures? Which topics show up most often in past exams? What concepts form the foundation for other topics? Action step: go through your textbook or lecture notes and highlight repeated topics. Anything that keeps coming up is likely part of the 20% of high-impact material. Review past exams for patterns. Professors and teachers are predictable. They often repeat similar question formats, concepts, and key ideas in every test. What to do? Look at past exams and note which topics appear most often. Identify patterns in the types of questions asked: multiple choice, essay, problem solving. Prioritize studying those topics first. Instead of blindly going through an entire textbook, reverse engineer your studying by focusing on what's most likely to be tested. Use smart study techniques for faster learning. Once you've identified the most important 20%, use active learning techniques to absorb it faster. Mind maps. Visually connect key concepts to understand relationships. The Feynman technique. Teach the topic to yourself or a friend in simple language. Flashcards and spaced repetition. Focus on reviewing key concepts regularly instead of last-minute cramming. What not to do. The time-wasting study mistakes. Highlighting everything in your textbook. If everything is important, nothing is. Rereading notes passively. This feels productive but doesn't actually help retention. Spending equal time on all topics. Some concepts are far more important than others. Smart students study strategically. Average students try to study everything. Which one do you want to be? The benefits of studying smarter, not harder. When you apply the 80-20 rule, you'll experience less stress. You'll stop wasting time on irrelevant details. Faster learning. Your brain will focus on key patterns, making retention easier. Higher test scores. You'll study what actually matters instead of memorizing useless information. More free time. No more endless study sessions that lead nowhere. The smartest students don't just study more, they study better. Take action today. Step 1. Go through your notes and highlight repeated topics. Step 2. Review past exams and identify recurring questions. Step 3. Focus only on these high-impact areas for your next study session. Try this for just 1 week, and you'll see how much faster and easier studying becomes. Study smart. Get better results. Have more free time. That's the power of the 80-20 rule. 5. Reverse learning. Start with the answers. Most students approach studying the same way. They start from page 1 of their textbook and read through everything, hoping to absorb as much information as possible. This linear method of studying feels logical, but it is slow, inefficient, and mentally exhausting. There's a much smarter way to study, one that helps you learn faster, retain information better, and eliminate unnecessary effort. It's called reverse learning, and it flips the traditional study method upside down. Instead of passively reading through endless chapters, you start with the answers first. How reverse learning works. The concept behind reverse learning is simple. If you know what questions will be asked, you can work backwards to learn only the most important information. Step 1. Look at questions and answers first. Before diving into any textbook or study material, start by looking at past exams, quizzes, or chapter-end questions. These questions reveal exactly what teachers consider important, helping you avoid wasting time on unnecessary details. Go through as many practice questions as possible and pay close attention to frequently repeated questions across different tests. The wording and format of questions, which indicate how you'll be tested. Patterns in the types of concepts that appear most often. By focusing on actual test questions first, you train your brain to recognize high-priority information instantly. Step 2. Identify the most common patterns. Once you've reviewed a set of questions, the next step is to analyze patterns. Do certain topics appear in almost every test? Are there key concepts that are always phrased in similar ways? Are specific formulas, definitions, or theories tested repeatedly? These recurring themes make up the core 20% of material that will give you 80% of your results, following the 80-20 rule from the previous section. Rather than wasting hours reading through an entire textbook, reverse learning helps you zero in on the concepts that actually matter. Step 3. Learn only what's truly important. Now that you know what's most likely to be tested, it's time to focus your efforts only on those areas. If a concept appears in multiple exam questions, study it deeply. If a certain type of problem is frequently tested, practice it until it becomes second nature. If something hasn't appeared in previous tests and isn't a foundational concept, don't waste time on it. By strategically prioritizing high-impact material, you eliminate distractions, save time, and learn more effectively. Why reverse learning works. Reverse learning is backed by cognitive science and has been proven to help students retain information more effectively. Here's why it works. It activates the brain's natural learning process. The brain learns best through pattern recognition. By starting with real questions, your brain quickly spots common themes, helping you organize and remember information faster. It engages active learning. Traditional studying is often passive. You read, highlight, and hope the information sticks. Reverse learning, on the other hand, forces you to engage with the material by actively solving problems and making connections. It mimics how you'll be tested. One of the biggest mistakes students make is studying in a way that doesn't match how they'll be tested. Reverse learning ensures you're studying exactly the way your brain will need to recall information on test day. It saves time and mental energy. Instead of spending hours reading unnecessary material, reverse learning fast-tracks your understanding. You spend less time consuming information and more time applying it. Common mistakes to avoid when using reverse learning. While reverse learning is an incredibly powerful technique, there are a few pitfalls to watch out for. Skipping foundational concepts. Some topics may not appear often on tests but are essential for understanding other subjects. Don't ignore core principles just because they aren't frequently tested. Not practicing enough. Simply looking at answers isn't enough. You need to actively solve problems and test your understanding. Over-relying on memorization. Reverse learning is not about blindly memorizing answers. It's about recognizing patterns and understanding why certain answers are correct. How to implement reverse learning today. If you want to start using reverse learning right now, follow this simple action plan. Gather past exams, quizzes, or sample questions related to your subject. Review them and identify the most common patterns. Which topics show up the most? Make a list of high-priority concepts based on your findings. Study those topics first before looking at the textbook. Test yourself by answering questions before reviewing the full explanations. Try this approach for just 1 week, and you'll see how much faster and easier studying becomes. 6. AI tools can help you study 10x faster. Artificial intelligence, AI, has transformed nearly every industry, and education is no exception. While most people think of AI as something used for creating funny ChatGPT memes or automating business tasks, the truth is that AI is one of the most powerful tools for learning faster and more efficiently. If you are still studying the traditional way, reading entire textbooks, taking endless notes, and manually creating study materials, you are wasting valuable time. AI can accelerate your learning process, help you retain more information, and free up your schedule so you can spend less time studying and more time actually understanding. Instead of replacing the effort required for learning, AI serves as a study assistant that makes studying smarter, not harder. How AI can transform the way you study. 1. AI summarizes long chapters in seconds. One of the biggest struggles students face is information overload. Textbooks are filled with pages of unnecessary details, making it hard to extract what truly matters. This is where AI shines. Instead of spending hours reading an entire chapter, AI tools like ChatGPT, Notion AI, and Scholarly can summarize key concepts, definitions, and explanations in seconds. Copy and paste a chapter or article into an AI tool. Ask it to generate a summary, key takeaways, or bullet points. Within moments, you have a concise breakdown of the most important ideas. This allows you to skip the fluff and focus only on the core material, saving you hours of time. 2. AI generates quizzes and flashcards automatically. Active recall is one of the most effective learning techniques, but creating practice quizzes and flashcards manually can be time-consuming. With AI, you can paste your notes or textbook content into a tool like Quizlet AI or ChatGPT. Ask it to generate multiple-choice questions, true or false questions, or flashcards. Instantly get a customized quiz based on the material you need to study. By testing yourself with AI-generated quizzes, you engage in active learning, which is proven to help you retain information better than passive reading. 3. AI provides personalized explanations for complex topics. Every student learns differently. Some people understand concepts best through step-by-step breakdowns, while others prefer visual explanations or real-world analogies. Instead of wasting time trying to decipher a confusing textbook definition, you can ask AI to explain a concept in simple terms. Provide examples or analogies to make it easier to understand. Break it down step by step, just like a personal tutor would. For example, if you are struggling with a difficult math problem, you can ask AI to walk you through the solution. If you need help with a historical event, AI can summarize it as a short story to make it more engaging. This level of personalization makes learning faster and more enjoyable. The best AI tools for studying smarter. Here are some AI-powered tools that can revolutionize the way you study. ChatGPT, great for answering questions, summarizing material, and generating practice questions. Notion AI, excellent for summarizing notes, organizing study materials, and creating flashcards. Quizlet AI helps generate interactive quizzes and flashcards for active recall. Scholarcy summarizes academic papers and breaks down complex research. Explain Like I'm 5, ELI 5, simplifies difficult concepts into easy-to-understand explanations. These tools are not a replacement for studying, but they enhance efficiency by automating repetitive tasks, allowing you to focus on mastering the material instead of wasting time organizing it. Why AI-powered studying works better. 1. AI saves time. Instead of spending 5 hours reading a chapter, you can summarize it in 5 minutes and focus on applying the knowledge. 2. AI reduces cognitive overload. Too much information at once leads to burnout. AI filters out what's important so you can focus only on the most essential content. 3. AI makes studying more interactive. Quizzes, explanations, and visual aids created by AI make learning more engaging and dynamic. 4. AI allows for personalized learning. Unlike a classroom setting where every student gets the same lecture, AI adapts to your learning style, providing customized explanations and study materials. Common mistakes to avoid when using AI for studying. While AI is an incredibly powerful tool, it's important to use it wisely. Here are some mistakes to avoid. Relying on AI without thinking critically. AI is a tool, not a brain replacement. Always verify information and think critically about the content it generates. Not practicing active recall. AI can summarize information, but if you don't test yourself on the material, you won't retain it. Skipping the learning process. AI can speed up understanding, but you still need to engage with the material and make real connections between concepts. AI should be used to enhance your learning experience, not replace your effort. How to start using AI to improve your studies today. If you haven't started integrating AI into your study routine, now is the perfect time. Choose one AI tool. Pick a tool like ChatGPT or Notion AI and start experimenting. Use it for one study session, summarize a chapter, generate a quiz, or get an explanation for a difficult topic. Evaluate your results. Did it help you understand faster? Did it save time? Adjust your approach accordingly. Try using AI for just 1 week, and you'll notice how much faster and more efficient your study sessions become. 7. Learn from your mistakes. Keep a failure journal. Most students approach studying the wrong way. They spend hours reading, highlighting, and memorizing, but when they get a question wrong on a test, they simply move on without taking the time to understand why they made the mistake. This is a critical error. The difference between average students and top students is not just how much they study, but how they learn from their mistakes. The smartest learners don't just memorize information, they analyze their failures and use them as stepping stones for improvement. If you want to accelerate your learning and dramatically improve your academic performance, you need to start using one of the most powerful yet underrated study techniques, the failure journal method. What is the failure journal method? A failure journal is a simple but incredibly effective tool that helps you track, analyze, and correct your mistakes so that you never repeat them. Instead of getting frustrated when you make a mistake, you turn it into a learning opportunity. The process is straightforward. Every time you get a wrong answer, write it down. Analyze why you got it wrong. Was it a lack of understanding? A careless mistake? A misinterpretation of the question? Review your failure journal before every test. This ensures that you don't repeat the same errors. By systematically documenting mistakes, you rewire your brain to recognize patterns, correct misunderstandings, and eliminate weak spots in your knowledge. Why does a failure journal work? This technique is backed by cognitive science and has been shown to improve memory retention, problem-solving skills, and long-term learning. 1. It rewires your brain for growth. The brain learns best through mistake-driven learning. Studies in neuroplasticity show that when you reflect on errors and correct them, your brain forms stronger neural connections, making it less likely that you'll make the same mistake in the future. Ignoring mistakes, on the other hand, allows your brain to reinforce incorrect patterns, leading to repeated errors. 2. It turns frustration into progress. Most students feel discouraged when they get something wrong. But with a failure journal, every mistake becomes a learning opportunity. Instead of feeling defeated, you train yourself to think, what can I learn from this? How can I avoid this mistake next time? What strategy will help me master this concept? This shift in mindset increases motivation and builds resilience, making studying more rewarding and effective. 3. It helps you identify patterns in your weaknesses. If you don't track mistakes, it's easy to overlook recurring errors. By keeping a record, you start noticing patterns in the types of questions you struggle with. For example, do you always misread questions under time pressure? Are there certain formulas or concepts that consistently trip you up? Do you make careless mistakes because of rushing? Once you identify these trends, you can develop targeted strategies to fix them. How to set up a failure journal. Creating a failure journal is simple and takes only a few minutes each day. Step 1. Choose a format. You can use a notebook, a digital document, or an app like Notion or Evernote. The key is to keep it organized and accessible. Step 2. Record every mistake you make. After each study session, test, or quiz, write down the question or concept you got wrong, the reason for the mistake, lack of knowledge, careless error, misinterpretation, the correct answer and explanation. A short reflection on how you will prevent this mistake in the future. Step 3. Review it before every test. A few days before an exam, go through your failure journal. These are the exact concepts that have previously caused you trouble, so reviewing them ensures you don't repeat past mistakes. This strategy guarantees that your weakest areas become your strongest. What happens when you use a failure journal? By implementing this method, you will experience faster learning, because mistakes will no longer slow you down. Higher test scores, since you'll avoid repeating errors. Increased confidence, because you'll know exactly what to focus on. Less stress, as you'll have a structured way to fix knowledge gaps. Top students don't just study hard, they study smart. A failure journal is one of the smartest ways to improve because it forces you to learn from your past instead of making the same mistakes over and over again. How to start using this today? If you want to improve your learning efficiency immediately, take the following steps. Get a notebook or create a digital document titled Failure Journal. After every study session or test, write down at least 3 mistakes. Review your journal every week to reinforce corrections. Before a big test, go through all your past mistakes and make sure you understand them completely. Try this method for just 1 month, and you'll be shocked at how much faster and smarter you start learning. Mistakes are not failures. They are lessons. Start tracking them, and you'll never repeat them again. Now you know the secrets to studying faster, smarter, and more effectively. But here's the thing, knowing these strategies isn't enough. You have to actually use them. Right now you have 2 choices. You can keep studying the old way, spending endless hours cramming, feeling exhausted, and still getting average results. You'll keep missing out on fun, losing sleep, and wondering why studying feels like an uphill battle. Or you can start applying these techniques today and transform the way you study forever. Imagine studying in half the time, actually remembering what you learn, and still having time to enjoy your life. No more all-nighters. No more last-minute panic. Just results. So here's your challenge. I want you to pick one of these techniques and try it out today. Just one. Maybe you start with the timer trick, setting a 30-minute timer to see how much you can get done in a short, focused session. Or you try reverse learning, flipping to the questions first and working your way backward instead of mindlessly reading everything. Maybe you finally cut out sugary snacks and fuel your brain with real, brain-boosting foods instead. Whatever it is, commit to it. Try it for just 1 study session and see how much of a difference it makes. And then I want you to come back here and comment, which technique did you try? Did it work for you? Not only will this help you stay accountable, but your comment might also inspire someone else to take action. And who knows? Maybe you'll learn a new trick from someone else's experience. If this video helped you, share it with a friend who's struggling with studying. Help them break free from the cycle of long, exhausting study sessions with little progress. Because studying shouldn't feel like torture. It should feel effortless. And hey, if you want more science-backed study hacks, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Here's the truth, the most successful students aren't necessarily the smartest, they're the ones who study the right way. They use these techniques, refine them, and turn studying into a skill. Imagine yourself a month from now. If you start applying these strategies today, by your next exam, you could be the person who walks into the test feeling prepared and confident, not stressed and exhausted. Your brain is capable of learning faster than you think, you just need the right approach. So don't waste another second on ineffective studying. Start now. This is your chance to stop working harder and start working smarter. Are you ready to take your studying to the next level? Then let's go.